Hello and welcome back. We've been playing around with video effects. So if I look better than normal, it's just because I look that good. It is not video effects at all. We are into the end of the year. And so we are going to have this will actually come out,
So this is the New Year's Eve episode, and then we'll
and
have
then
the
we'll
day
come out New
after.
Year day after. So yeah, let's see. I sort of like we'll keep both of these as a special. We'll do sort of a New Year's special and do two of them again. And I like, um, while forgive and forget, I think it's a little aggressive of kind of thing because it's a year that there's a lot of people there's a lot that everybody should be forgiving and forgetting, but I like it. I think we can work that in actually, but I really liked where did I put that in podcast ideas? Yeah, sort of like I like the whole
Actionable.
like wrapping up and then goals for 2025 because those like work perfect for us. So I think which has sort of been the traditional year end stuff. So we'll dive into this one. We'll just talk about wrapping up. Good thing, bad thing. We'll just sort of go into the normal stuff and take my sip of tea and we'll get started on that. And we'll just do that and we'll come back on the other ones. We'll do a little three, two. Well, hello and welcome back. If you've noticed that we've got, because Michael needs to do this, is edit the audio so that you've got your little year-end cheering or bells. I forget what it is, but it's there. You just heard it. That thing, that was all due to him doing some extra editing work. Not a lot, but hey, it's there. Anyways, we are building better developers. We are the Developreneur Podcast, and we are at the end of another year. This year happens to be 2024. Mind blowing in itself from somebody that was born last century. So it's been a while, and it's like, wow. But we are wrapping this thing up. We're wrapping up the year, and as always, we want to do our year-end specials, and we're going to have a year beginning special in our next episode. This one, I want to look back a little bit on the year and talk a little about like looking back and then sort of like what are the things we need to do as we close this year out, sort of closing out. Now, some of it may be a little too late, but we'll talk a little bit about some of those things that you're going to want to do. And that'll also help prep you for the next year, 2025. Before we get into that, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Rob Broadhead. I'm one of the founders of Developreneur. I am also a founder of RB Consulting, where we come in, we help you manage technology. We help you take whatever it is that you got, take a look at your business and find the best way to leverage technology to do your business better, whether that's through simplification, automation, integration, any of the shuns that are out there, we're going to do them in a way to help you function better and do better and make more money in the year ahead. Good thing, bad thing. Let's see. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing. Christmas. Just got through Christmas. It's actually the bad thing was getting to Christmas was exhausting. There's just too much stuff going on, and I didn't even do as much as Natalie, and yet I got the blowback and was exhausted by just watching her do all this crap and deal with all of this stuff. The good thing was Christmas was awesome. We had a great time. We did family games. The family loved it. Even the people that normally wouldn't like it, or the grouchy old people that are like, get off my yard, they were still having a good time. So hey, it was a win all around. So, very good way to sort of get towards the end of the year for us. And another good thing is I get to have yet another episode that I get to record with Michael, who is going to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we help technology companies with little or no software quality assurance or problems with their software. We bring to the table a test-driven approach, unit testing, functional testing, integration testing, and we help you turn your software around. We take you from essentially chugging along, having bugs and problems, to cleaner, more productive, more streamlined software. So essentially, you go from uh, once the developers are done, you can tell if the software is ready to go out without any guesswork. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, again, like Rob said, Christmas is finally here, gone, past, and I actually was able to disconnect from a computer for 24 hours. Shocking. I am glued to this thing well over 100 hours a week, which is scary, but Anyway, that's the bad thing. The bad thing is leading up to Christmas, you have all of that trying to get things done, rushing around, getting bills paid, things of that nature. And then you see the Christmas bill. And then it's like, crap. We spent a lot of money again this Christmas. So I had to write those checks. So that was the bad thing. Uh, with that, I am looking forward to this episode and working with Rob and getting us through to the end of the year.
So year end, we have always talked about planning and following up on plans and accountability and a lot of that kind of stuff. And so as we wrap up the year, I think once again I'm going to share some of the stuff that I do, and hopefully these are some things that that you've done already and are not like scrambling at the last minute to do. Now, one of the things, if you've got a side hustle or anything like that, or a business, this probably is a time that you're going to be doing some wrap up stuff, some year end things. It is a very good time from it, and this is whether you're doing a side hustle, and this is even probably in your personal life, you're probably doing some level of, or at least it's going to be helpful, I think, to do some level of like an annual financial your personal business, your household and stuff like that, and how that runs, and take a look at it and make sure that you're sort of positioning yourself to pay those last bills that you need to make sure everything gets paid on time, particularly when you're in this like holiday season where banks are closed like all but 3 hours a day and random days and all that kind of stuff, is making sure that you get those things in and get those things covered and get your bills paid on time and all that goodness. But also, it's a good way to look at where am I spending too much time or money or resources of other sorts? Where do I need to make some adjustments? Looking back, like were those investments of time and everything else that you made, did they pay off the way that you want them to? And really spending some time like a retrospective in a development sprint is basically saying like, what did I do right? What went right? What didn't go right? Are there things that I should start doing more of? And there are some things that I should maybe stop. And a lot of this people do, I think, more with a like a New Year resolution bent of just like, oh, well, I should lose weight. Everybody always should lose weight. And it's just like, that seems like that's always the thing to do. But if you just do it at the beginning, you say, oh, I'm going to lose weight, and you spend 2 days in a gym and then you give up like most people, then it's not going to work. I think what you need to do is take a look at like, what have you tried? And maybe all the way back to New Year's last year. What are some of those resolutions? What stuck? What didn't? How can you do that better in the year ahead? What are some things that, or maybe there's things you don't want to. Maybe you made a resolution at the beginning of the year to become I don't know, a world-class violinist, and you realize you hate playing the violin. And so like, all right, nix that off of your list. Or are there things that you do on a regular basis? Are there habits that you have, or even hobbies maybe that you have where you're just like, I'm not feeling it. It's like, it's just like, professionally, maybe you're burned out a little bit. So maybe you should look at seeing if you can change your approach to work, or maybe the projects that you're working on, or the focus that you have, or depending on what your ability is to drive those kinds of things. Or maybe it's like your side hustles are wearing you out. Maybe you should pick a different side hustle, or maybe you shouldn't side hustle at all. Maybe you should spend some time just chilling and relaxing and allow yourself to just recharge a little bit. These are kinds of things that I think are very helpful as you get towards the end of the year, because it is just, while it is just another, day on the calendar to some extent, it's also an excuse for us to pause a little bit and look back and say, where are we at? Like, do a little self-assessment. This is, I think, where people that are truly content and happy and things like that, these are the things that the habits that these people have, is that they look at the things that are out there and they say, these are the things I like to do, and they find ways to get to that. And these are things I don't like to do, and they find ways not to do that. Now, sometimes it's not as easy as it sounds. Sometimes there are things where there are shades of I like it and I don't like it, or like for me there are things that I like to do but I suck at them, and so I really shouldn't do them. It's a waste of time. It's like, it'd be like being a professional singer. That would be sort of cool, but not for me. So I'm not going to go waste my time trying to go do that. And we're now adults, so it's not like kids when you're like, yeah, chase your dreams. It's like, let's tie our dreams back to reality a little bit, because we get to go try some of this stuff out and make sure that what you're doing and what the path that you put yourself on at the beginning of the year or the beginning of your career, that it's still working out. Because it's never too late to maybe to pivot or to make some adjustments and say, I really thought this is where I wanted to go. And I found out it really isn't, that I want to do something differently. And don't be afraid to just like roll the dice a little bit and try something a little different. And it's funny because this was as I was sort of like starting into this episode and doing the introduction. That's one of the things that I found that like I switched last year. I said we started, I think right at the beginning of the year. Well, no, I guess it was more like February, March. We actually started doing video recordings as well. So if you're just listening to the podcast like you always have, we also have this out on YouTube. And so now we are recording this as we're doing it from a video as well as an audio point of view. And it very much changes, for me, it has very much changed how I see this, how I approach this. And so for somebody that had done 700 plus episodes of non-video podcasts, pure audio podcasts, it's actually been a little bit of a rebirth because it's something that's like, oh, hey, I just tweaked this a little bit. And you may not hear anything different. This is the same audio thing that you've always had. It's probably done a little better because now Michael's doing the editing instead of me. But other than that, same thing. Yeah, we've changed the format around and stuff like that. But even in the past, when I would record and do it with the interviews, because almost always I was actually seeing the person I was interviewing, those didn't go out anywhere. And just changing that perspective of like, now I'm not the only one that's going to see this has changed stuff and has really changed like my focus on just this thing that I've done. It is, I guess, pretty much it is a labor of love. I've been doing this for years, so obviously I must enjoy it. So those are kinds of things you can do is take a look at like what you do, what do you like, what don't you like? Because I think those are our whys. Those are what really drive us. It's like you can point to things like, you want to be successful, whatever successful is, or things like that, or you want to earn money, or you want to be well known, or you want to be, ethical or giving or whatever. There's all these things that are very positive in themselves, but it boils down to we can't be everything to everyone. We really need to be true to ourselves and understand what we like to do because we don't want to be in a situation we are doing something we don't like because it helps other people or makes them happy, unless the primary thing for us is to make other people happy. In which case, great, you can go be a Mother Teresa or somebody like that. But if like it comes back down to what really do you enjoy doing and try to do more of that in the year ahead. And this is a perfect time to sort of look back, spend a little time and say, how much fun did I really have this year? And if it was a ton, cool, let's just do more of that next year. If it wasn't, then what are some things that I can avoid? Now, caveat, you can't avoid some of the things that is the rest of the world. So if you hate advertisements, if you hate the fact that like election years where you get like advertisement, 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 sorry, can't do much about that. Well, or maybe you could stop watching TV, or maybe you're like, I'm going to earn more money so I can have a subscription streaming service that doesn't have advertisements. There's almost always a way out. Another way out for me is so that I can go drink my tea. I'm going to pass this over to Michael and get some of your feedback and your thoughts on this.
So it's interesting, kind of reflecting on the year. We're talking about wrapping up, closing out the year. And I just kind of want to look back at the year because this has been a kind of rebuilding year for my business and for me. Uh, Late last year, I decided I went through a marketing campaign, a marketing manager, and kind of re-evaluated where my company was going. We're coming out of COVID, the world's kind of reset, we're kind of back to where we're going. What does business look like today? How do we currently work in today's market? Because it's ever evolving. And within that conversation, I basically realized that my company was not on the path it needed to be. I was not happy. I was doing too many things that I didn't like. So I went into this program called Co-Starters and kind of went through, even though I've been running businesses of many natures over 20 some years, it was time to kind of just do a reset. Hey, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What is business look like today? And that kind of carried through into March. And at the end of February, first start of March, I finally rebranded and decided to relaunch my company as Envision QA. I'm more focused on what the company is going to be. I'm more happy with the path I've chosen for the company. And with that, I very quickly found my first customer, kind of went through the fun process of working with the customer, doing something I loved. And it turned into a blossoming relationship. We have a new project out of it and having a lot of fun. But it's not all bells and whistles. So there was things going on this year that weren't always that great. Some things in your control, some things out of your control. The biggest thing out of my control is health. We've had some family health issues we've been working through, trying to figure that out, and it's a struggle. You know, it can drain you. So as you're looking to next year, it's kind of funny. We've talked about many different things this season of building better habits. And one of the big things, the big takeaways I have, especially with working in different projects and back in Agile as fluently as I have, is it comes down to kind of some concepts of priority. You know, what do I need to do to be happy? What is important? What so it's kind of, what do I need? What do I want? What is, a goal? What is something to reach for, but isn't really as important to be done today? It's, kind of like a stretch goal. And a lot of things, as I'm reflecting at the end of the year, is there was some things I wanted to do that weren't priority, that weren't needed to be done. So as I worked through these things, it's like, oh, I'm really burning out. I'm kind of struggling to get through these things. And you may as well. And stop, look at where you're at and determine, is this something that is really necessary? Is this something that I need to do to be happy, or I need to do to get something done? Or am I just being busy, or am I wasting time? If it falls into the latter, pivot, find something else to do. I do like playing video games, but I don't like it when video games basically make it feel like work. The games as a service, when you have to log in every day and basically go do all these microtransactions, it's like, no, that's not fun. Talking to you, Diablo. Well, not so much Diablo, but the first Descendant. Microtransaction hell. Great story, microtransaction hell. Diablo, a little bit better, but the new one that came out, Path of Exile 2, really well done. I got lost on Christmas Day playing probably about 6 hours of that, just figuring out the game. And I'm back to loving it. Diablo 2 style. It's like, great, I found something I liked. So look at these things. In the intro pre-show we had, I briefly talked about, paying the bills off. It's kind of that time of year. We had all the Christmas expenses. Finances is important. Make sure that you are kind of living within your means. Yes, we have emergencies. So maybe one of your goals for next year might be, hey, put aside $20 a paycheck, put a little bit of a nest egg into savings. So if something does happen, you don't have to panic if the credit cards are maxed. You have some extra cash to go pay for that emergency, to go to the doctor, or maybe take a short vacation to reset your mentality. It's the end of the year. It was a rough year. Election years are always rough because they're so draining. And like Rob said, early on, it's like, okay, who are your candidates going to be? Sure, you kind of need to pay a little bit of attention, but it's like, at some point you need to go on a media fast and just take a break because it mentally drains you. So as you look towards the end of the year, as you're looking into that next year, stop and take a moment and make a list. Look at what things drained you, what things you didn't like, what things brought you down, and then right next to that, the things that you did like to do, what things brought you joy, what things, were you happy on, what is the correct path. And then as you go into next year, look at, okay, where can I pivot? Can I change some of this course? One of the things could be simply find another job. The job you're in could be, life sucking, soul crushing. Time to find a change. You may not be in a position where you can change, but start looking. I don't know the proverb, but take that first step. Don't just stand still. Don't just be motionless. Take one step forward, then take another step, and eventually you'll be far down the path to happiness.
Yeah, and that's the thing is this is where we don't have to make big changes sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit of a change. Now, sometimes it's a it becomes a big change. I think like a perfect example is, Michael was sitting there, I was like, oh, I'm gonna maybe think about my business. And the next thing you know, he's completely rebranded and he's gone into, done a lot of stuff. But it's one of those things I was reflecting a little bit earlier today. It's like the difference a year can make. And in my life, there's a whole lot of change. There's a whole lot of stuff that is dramatically different than what it was. And part of that is because I have when you have a lot of kids and there's a lot of change, and they're at that age where there's like a lot of change where you've got graduations and all kinds of stuff going on. But even with myself, then going to an empty nester mode is obviously a big change. There's things like that. But there's all these little things too. It is amazing to me now looking back a few years ago, one of the changes that I made as I realized that I enjoyed reading, just reading fiction. And I hadn't done it in decades. There was always work stuff. There's all these things I was doing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just read 15 minutes a day. And my goal was actually just read, before I fall asleep into the day, I'm going to shut stuff off. I'm going to read for a little bit. And through that time, I have ended up, I mentioned, I think earlier this year, I ended up reading all of the Shannara series, all like 40 books or whatever that thing is. And I'm going back into some other series and things like that that I haven't touched in years and years. And it continues to be something that is just a really good way to end my day. It really has been a way to help me, fall asleep better, relax, chill, let go of stuff that's going on during the day and all the drama and the work and all the other crap that goes on, and to be able to just like enjoy life a little bit. And so something like that may be all you need. It may be like get up 10 minutes earlier and like just have a quiet 10 minutes with your morning tea or coffee or something like that, or going for a walk, or like a little bit of exercise, or try like a Pomodoro or something like that, and just doing a little thing where you're like, hey, I'm going to actually take a break for 5 minutes after I do a little bit of a work push, and just see how these things go. It doesn't have to be huge, but I think you'll find, I know, because we talk about all the time, the value of incremental improvement will eventually get you there. Like Michael said, like if you're just saving $20 a paycheck and you get one, twice a month, well, by the end of the year, that's 40 times. So that's almost $500 that now you have in savings as you did in a year ago. And then of course, if you start adding interest and all that kind of stuff, it grows. There are so many places and directions you can go. That's like if you start incrementally, you will be able to achieve some really huge goals along the way. Nothing's done in one shot. It's always going to be like you get moving there, you start making that journey, and you will get to where, often you will get far beyond where you ever thought you were going to be. We are not going to get farther beyond where we thought we were going to be. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Want to wish you, from all of us, our families, and everybody else, to the grand, audience that we have out there, Happy New Year. Hopefully you have a great one. You have a safe one, that you go out there, you get to enjoy some time with your family, friends, and all that kind of good stuff, that you do get to relax a little bit. You get to celebrate some. It's like, hey, we made it through another year, and hopefully with a lot of optimism for the year ahead. If you want to shoot us an email, you can always shoot us an email about that and be as optimistic or pessimistic as you want. Just let us know. info@developreneur.com. You can also check us out on the developreneur.com site. We're on X at Developreneur. We've got a Facebook page. You can leave us comments and feedback wherever you are watching this video or listening to this podcast. We're always happy to hear from you, because we will do a next episode. We'll come back with another special, and then we'll dive back into building better habits and wrapping up that season, then stepping into whatever the next one is. And we haven't figured that out yet. So feel free to throw us some suggestions. That being said, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, a happy new year, and we will talk to you next time. Bonus. Any bonus thoughts on that?
Only thing I will recommend, and I'm bad at this, it's the end of the year. It's New Year's Eve if you're watching this. Watch this, watch whatever news podcast you need, turn off your email, turn your, do not disturb on. Go have a great day. Relax, read a book, have some champagne, watch a ball drop, music drop, wherever you're at. Spend some time with family and friends, and to hell with work. Take a break. It's okay. It'll be there tomorrow.
That is probably the best one. I was thinking about that just the other day. We were talking about, like, because RB has New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off. I've had New Year's Day and New Year's Eve off most of the last, I don't know, 10 years. And I was just thinking about how many times I was still working on New Year's Eve, though. A couple of times out to like 8, 9 o'clock at night on New Year's Eve. And so my partying didn't start till very late because I was working too late. And it's one of those like, yes, life is short. You're not gonna, if you end up dead next year, you're not going to be going back saying, God, I'm so glad that I gave up my New Year's Eve for doing whatever that work thing is. So, best you can enjoy it. Take some time. There's always like some of the daily things that we do to just stay healthy and keep going, but the rest, like, go actually take a day off and have a good time. And I'm trying to tell myself that as well. Hopefully, I will do it. I'll probably get up and do a little bit of work, but I'm trying to figure out what my cutoff is going to be so that if I sleep in late, oh well, I guess I didn't get any work done that day. That being said, we'll let you guys go. Enjoy your time as well. And next time you see us, it will be a new year. Have a good one, everybody.